What's up, guys? Today's video is going to be a little more kind of off the cuff, similar to the video I did when I talked about recoil direction. Hopefully not as long, but we'll see what happens. I apologize for not having a video out last week. It's been, let's just call them trying times. Nothing crazy happening, just not necessarily in the right mindset for content creation, perhaps. I did have a video that I wanted to work on, then things started getting in the way, and one thing led to another, didn't have a video. I was going to put this video together, but I didn't want to half-ass it. I would rather whole-ass it, and so that's what we're going to do today. Today's video is going to be on the new weapon mods that we got with episode Revenant. And these new weapon mods come in addition to the tried and true classics, but I don't think a lot of people are fully familiar with these mods and necessarily what they do. And so I wanted to kind of give a quick rundown of, hey, here are the mods, here's what they do, and also, here's why it's important and why these new mods are exciting both now and potentially in the future. So, kind of starting off with the first one that I think a lot of people are going to get a lot of use out of is the Ballistics mod. And you're going to hear a lot of content creators talking about this, especially when they're talking about weapons for PvP. The Ballistics mod gives 6 range and 6 stability to your weapon, just flat stat increases, which is as good as it gets, really. You know, oftentimes you have to have a barrel. When you think about it, small bore does 7 range and 7 stability, and I can basically equip almost small bore to a weapon just as a mod. And this is powerful in a lot of ways, and it's like what Bungie said they wanted to accomplish when they made these new mods. They wanted to give people a reason to not have to run a backup mag all the time, or give some thought before you just decide, counterbalance is the obvious choice here because the weapon feels better with counterbalance. But would it feel even better if you had more range and stability? Would that make the weapon stronger? Can you live without this to gain this, or vice versa? So, initially very powerful, almost a small bore, just for free to equip to your weapon. And then we have Tactical, which does the same thing, but your reload speed and handling. So, again, there are a lot of weapons that have weaknesses. The blast furnace comes to mind. One of the reasons I got my blast furnace with Frenzy is because handling and reload speed are a relative weakness on this weapon. And while Frenzy can compensate for that, not everybody's going to have Frenzy. And so you can come over here to the mod slot. Granted, it's 6. I'm not going to tell you that these are life-changing numbers. They matter more for some weapons than others, and again, especially in PvP, where every meter can matter. So in PvE, there's some slight differences, but this is still a great tool to be able to say, oh, you know what? Well, my blast furnace is perfect except for these 2 stats. Let me equip these 2, and now we're golden. Now that handling is just a little bit snappier. That reload is just a little bit quicker, a frame or 2 faster. And that, again, it's exciting. It's different. It's something to really consider. Anti-flinch speaks for itself. It reduces incoming flinch. I wouldn't count on that to make a meaningful amount of adjustment. I have not heard a lot of people talking about anti-flinch, and the most that I have heard about it has not been great. However, if you are a sniper and you want to be able to take advantage of that lane just a little bit harder, and you're like, if I could just reduce that flinch ever so slightly, that's the difference between a headshot and a body shot, or a headshot and a miss. So, as long as you are accounting for the modest, let's call it modest, improvement to anti-flinch, then this can be an effective sniper pick, scout rifle pick, maybe pulse in extreme circumstances. Really long-range precision weapons are potentially going to benefit the most from this. These next two mods are actually interesting because they really just impact the kind of usability. So let's actually look at this. So we have 13 zoom on my subjunctive. And, you know, you can see that's pretty par for the course for an SMG. 13 is kind of the low end, the floor for that, as it were. But maybe 13 in PvP or PvE, you're like, you know, I really like to ADS, but 13 feels a little close. Well, now I can pull that out a little bit. And it's not huge. Again, these mods are meant to be marginal. I think some of them are more marginal than others. I think stats are stats, which is, you know, crazy. But, you know, you can actually kind of feel that one zoom, as crazy as it seems. You can tell the difference. And the same thing happens again when you go to high optics. And so now you can bring that just a little bit closer. So an SMG is probably not the ideal example. Let's actually do it on my pulse. So my pulse has 17 zoom. So zoom actually really does matter here. So that's 17 zoom, and I'm actually used to using a 20 zoom more often than not because I use my BXR a lot. And so you see the 20 zoom here. So let's just actually take a look at it on this, and let's pop on those optics. Now all of a sudden, now we're at a 19. You know, not as much of a difference, but a difference. And then we can also increase that by 1. And so you see it brings it in just that little bit more. This is really going to benefit the most on, say, a sniper. So yeah, actually on here, geez. I thought that, is that actually a decrease of 3? No, okay, yeah, so it's a decrease of 1 plus 1. Forgive me. I'm sitting here looking at the 21, and I'm like, wait a minute. Wait a minute. I just went from 19, not thinking about... I told you. I told you I wasn't... I'm actually glad I did this now. So yeah, being able to increase that zoom by 1, and I'm curious actually, does it do more? My cat just jumped up. Hello, Phineas. Does it do more on a sniper? So the sniper here has 43 zoom. Okay, yeah. So, okay. So it's the marksman optic. I knew there were 2 different versions of it, and I just couldn't remember why. So yeah, marksman optics is different. So this is actually a -2 +2. So this has an even bigger impact on a sniper rifle. Again, that's going to be more of a PvP thing, like a comfort kind of feel. I don't really deal in... I don't play with a lot of high precision weapons, so forgive me for not... You know, forgive me for not necessarily... going all in on these particular mods. They are not of my typical persuasion, but your mileage will vary, and different people are going to have different benefits from a lot of these mods. We also have special ammo finder enhancement and heavy ammo finder enhancement, which is really good if your build revolves heavily around special or heavy ammo, and running one of these finders, one of these lovely things, that's going to increase the chance that those finders drop bricks. And you don't really have to go into more details on why that's important. If you want more, if you want more ammo more faster, you're going to want to run these. Stun loader, this is an origin trait that you can just kind of equip. I think it's the isn't it the GM one? I believe it is, where when you stun champions, it reloads the weapon. So, yeah, stunning a champion partially refills this weapon from reserves. Great for GMs. And again, depending on the weapon you're running, that probably has a lot more value on, you know, an anti-barrier sniper could be huge, or even an anti-barrier shotgun could be huge to partially refill that magazine and follow up in a GM or a master raid, something like that. So definitely not without value. I can actually, I'm a little higher on that one than I am on, something like the optics. The one I've really liked a lot for energy weapons specifically, I've been using this on my vantage point, is synergy. So what synergy does is final blows with this weapon have a chance to create an elemental pickup matching its damage type. So an elemental pickup would be something like a Void Breach, Ionic Trace, couldn't think of it. So those types of little elemental drops that you can pick up. I especially like Ionic Traces because they come to me, so that's the lazy man's solution, or the lazy person's solution. He's planning to jump. Where are you going, pal? Oh, he's coming over to say hi. Hold on, I gotta cover up my keyboard. Hello, Phineas. Say hi to the viewers. But this is also something that you can combine, especially on Prismatic, with Facet of Awakening, which is something I run, generally speaking, for the 10 Resilience, but I also like running, and that's also the rundown Fire Sprite, Ionic Trace, Void Breach, Stasis Shard, Tangle. So, especially if you're running, Strand, being able to get more Tangles is great. And, being that I also run Facet of Solitude, I benefit a lot from that. So, rapidly defeating targets with light or darkness damage or super final blows generates an elemental pickup of the matching damage type. So that's the same thing, but when you combine it with synergy, I've had circumstances where I have, hit a big volt shot type thing and gotten 2 Ionic Traces, one from defeating the enemy and one from my jolting feedback or something, hitting another enemy, defeating them, or dealing damage over time. Yeah, I'll be honest. I have seen these generate just from dealing damage. I know it says final blows, and I can't say that it is synergy doing it, because I don't think Facet says anything. Yeah, it all says defeating. But honestly, I have shot yellow bars with weapons and seen Ionic Traces come off of them. So never doubt the power of some of these mods. Sometimes they're way better than you think. And in the case of a kinetic weapon, you basically get the old Masterwork option where you could generate orbs of power on final blows. So on something like, my Chroma Rush here, I basically am giving it a lesser form of attrition orbs by having kinetic. So now I have subsistence, kinetic tremors, and I'm generating orbs on defeats and certain damage, things like that. And that adds a lot of versatility to the weapon. That plays more into my build. That allows me to use my armor charges more effectively. That means that I'm not starved for super, so I can be a little more loose with my super and, kind of let that go to town a bit. All in all, I think these mods are a huge improvement. The downside of them being that in some cases, especially when it comes to, say, ballistics and tactical, it really creates a scenario where all of a sudden you have... I don't think I have any Adept weapons on me right now. No, I do. Unfortunately, this one would not show it. This one does still have options, though, so we still have synergy, we still have edge, but, I'm running Adept Impact on my sword, but on a different weapon. If I'm running like an Adept Pulse Rifle, I can run Adept Range or Adept Stability, or I could get most of both of them at the same time. Am I really gonna trade 4 more stats in one column and not take 6 in the other? Situationally, maybe, but for the most part, given the option to have both, you're going to take both, whereas Adept Mag is objectively better than Backup Mag. That is an obvious pickup. Adept Impact is important on like a sword like this to be able to do more damage. So that's more of like an obvious situation for that. And when we get to some of these other weapons, they just don't have those kind of no-brainer picks in the same way. We're still going to have charge time and stuff like that. So there's always going to be variance. But it is a great move in the right direction, I think. And I would love to see what Bungie will do, with the feedback that they get from these. Maybe in the future we get stuff that does, more. I really like the idea of these combination mods. Maybe something gives reload speed and, or higher reload speed at the cost of magazine. And something that you think about and it's like, well, if it's enough of a boost to reload, maybe it's plus 20 reload, but minus, 5 mag size. That's something that obviously you would have to think twice about. But there's potentially value in that. Okay, well, my reload speed on here is 30. If I can get that up to 50, but it goes down to 31 rounds, potentially I have something to gain there with Volt Shot, being able to reload the weapon faster. Maybe I don't have stats for all in this column. Maybe I don't have a good reload perk in the 3rd column or in the 4th column. And now all of a sudden, that's something that I can create this trade-off that has value to me and the weapon I'm using and the way I'm trying to use it. So I am really keen on the idea of taking these and continuing to grow them, because you have a few that are definitely PvP, you have a few that are kind of mostly PvP but have value in PvE. And then you have a few Synergy and Stun Loader and the ammo finders that are very firmly PvE. I would like to see maybe stronger differentiation. I told you this one's gonna be off the cuff. I'm not editing this one. You have to forgive me. It was this or nothing. And I didn't want to give you nothing. You guys, you deserve better than that. So I would like a better, differentiating factors as to, okay, this is good for something that is objectively good for PvP that maybe doesn't have an effect on PvE. Maybe something that deals with versus players and things like that. Or more combination stuff. Maybe something that gives you magazine at the cost of stability. Maybe something that gives you kind of like what Adept mods used to be, where they had those trade-offs where you could run Adept mag, but then you would be minus 15. I'm not saying, I want to be clear when I say this, I am not technically trying to endorse the idea of these mods should come with a penalty. I don't really believe that mods should come with a penalty when they are this. What I would like to see are stronger mods. And when I say stronger mods, I mean even stronger than what we had with Adepts, that have obvious, meaningful trade-offs, but have equally beneficial factors that apply to that weapon or can apply to my build. Generates orbs faster at the cost of, reducing impact damage, can generate more, generates more ability energy with perks like Demolitionist or Pugilist at the cost of, stats across the board, something like that. Honestly, I would love to see stuff like a lightweight mod, like a lightweight retrofit, turns this weapon into a lightweight frame, but reduces its stats or something. But now you have that better mobility, stuff that can really kind of play around. And I know that sounds crazy, but just imagine, I know I'm kind of bringing this back to PvP, but imagine being able to use something like Elsie's rifle and being able to put a lightweight mod on it, a lightweight retrofit mod on it, or, taking SMG like this. They played around with it in the past with stochastic variable, I believe it was, where you could change the mag or the fire rate, from a 900 to a 600. You basically you changed it from a lightweight to a precision fire rate. Maybe have mods that do that change the fire rate of the weapon. And, maybe you lose that lightweight benefit on this, but you could change it to a 720 and now, you can play around with this in different ways. That's probably a lot of work. That's a lot of wishful thinking, but, right now, potentially everything's on the table. And when we're making exciting changes like these mods, I definitely want to see them expanded upon in more exciting ways. I think weapon mods have for too long just been like consequence of weapons. It's like, yeah, well, you know, we got to do something with them that gives the player agency. And ever since crafting came out, weapon mods have felt either, you know, like they've either felt like part of the crafting process where once I put this on, this weapon is perfect, or they end up being okay, well, I crafted this, you know, perfect gun, air quotes, perfect gun. Now, what do I use for a mod? I guess I'll throw a backup mag. This solves some of that problem, but I would love to see mods be another piece of player agency, especially if we're going to get back to less crafting, more farming. I want to see mods become a bigger piece of player agency over how weapons perform. And ballistics and tactical and stuff like that, those are huge steps in the right direction. I think even synergy could factor into that as play style, you know, more play style perks or mods, excuse me, and more impactful mods that, again, make players think twice and make tough decisions. I want to see this mod system kind of go almost a little crazy just to see what it could do, you know? And even if in the future, I know they're talking about different tiers of weapons, maybe certain tiers can have access to those, and maybe that's the way we do it, and maybe that's the way we should do it, and that would be cool, and I'm okay with that. But I like the idea of weapon mods giving players more control over the build of their weapon in the same way that mods on armor give players control over their build. They should kind of go hand in hand at a certain point. So that's the basic rundown, kind of what I like about these mods, and what I hope this is kind of leading towards. If you guys enjoyed the video, please let me know. I'll try to have something a little more pre-planned coming out soon. The new weapons are entering the sandbox next week, and I am going to be farming one of those SMGs until I get it. And I really, really hope I like that thing. If I don't make a video, it means I hate the gun. And I'm very sad about it. But sorry for the kind of slapdash nature of this video. I wanted to put something up, and you know, I enjoyed making this. I hope you guys enjoyed watching it. Thank you so much, and I will catch you on the next video. Bye-bye.